What's good, YouTube? Men of Steel here, and in today's video we're taking on the Bibarel. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this guy's EX Expert Solo Battle, as we need to beat it with all colorless and 3 diamonds or less. Not necessarily together, but that's what we do in this channel, and that's what we will do in this video. First and foremost, the point that I want to make the most out of this deck, as the many times I went against it, the most noticeable thing, and I guess the exploit in this challenge, is that they have no idea, zero clue on how to use Dialga. They will have Dialga up front, and like you know the deal. You just charge it up to 2, you attack, and you start charging up everything. They will leave that Dialga up front doing absolutely nothing, as long as they have anything else on the bench. Their energy will go to a Dialga on the bench before it goes to a Dialga on the active. I do not know why. It's the biggest exploit in this challenge outside of like their no retreat ability. They don't have Shaman, they don't have XP, they don't have a Leaf, and everything once it's like evolved up or leveled up is at least 2 retreat costs. So it's stuck there while you're either like swinging at it aggressively, or if they want to back out, they get sent like eons behind, because if they were ramping with the Dialga, it'd be a little more like manageable. But since they don't use it like correctly, you'll just see them punt energy. And honestly, once you like focus on that and you don't stress too much, you usually get it. Like the one instance would be like where they brick and they don't have something to put behind Dialga, and then they're like forced to play it correctly. But that's few and far in between. So for the most part, you'll be able to take this deck on pretty easily. However, it is very tedious because alongside Wigglytuff, which they have 2 of, Pokemon Center Lady, Potion, and Cape, they're healing constantly. Not to mention that Bibarel also heals 30 when he attacks, but that's almost like a non-factor, as it either doesn't come up, or at that point you're already all set up where that 30 is not enough for anything. And not only do they have all this healing, they're very proactive with it. The second you like, let's say, full disclosure, we're using Farfetch'd. Like if you tag them for 40 with Farfetch'd, the following turn they're like double Potion. They attack into you and you have Cape. The next turn, Pokemon Center Lady, Potion. They try to they try to heal up to full constantly, regardless of what they have up front, regardless of what their game plan is. Their only focus is charging anything but Dialga in the front and healing up to full. That's all they want to do. And honestly, we use that to our advantage, as for the most part, we're playing a build that just builds up and attacks for a pretty good chunk. We don't have access to anything that can one-shot that is both colorless and 3 diamonds or less, so it's not like we could play Arceus to like try to one-shot these things. But regardless, once you have that in mind, that they don't know how to use Dialga, they're gonna heal a lot, but their damage basically caps out at 100. That's all you really need to know / focus on to beat this challenge with the deck that I'm going to present you, which is Snorlax aggro, I guess. Realistically, you just want to build up a Snorlax while poking or / being aggressive with both Farfetch'd and Cyclizar. I honestly opted for Cyclizar for more reasons than you would think. I guess like the first thought that I had was definitely Farfetch'd and Kangaskhan. The only issue with Kangaskhan though is the 3 retreat costs that even with the Shaman is a little too expensive, and sometimes you're just stuck with it. Not to mention that our opponent loves to heal, so like the turns where like Kangaskhan's not doing anything, like it misses 2 tails or whatever, it's just like prolonging the inevitable. Not that when you're with Farfetch'd or Cyclizar, even if it's just 20 or you're doing the 40, it like forces them to pump all their healing early, and that's all you need. Because the ideal thing is that once you're able to bring in Snorlax, you deal damage and they already wasted all their heals, so the second hit with Snorlax is game. Other than the aggressive like Farfetch'd and Cyclizar and then the Snorlax as a finisher, we're playing 1 Shaman just to facilitate like the changing in between either our aggression or to finally bring out Snorlax without like wasting any energy. And the rest of this deck is like pretty pinpoint on why you're playing the certain cards. Pokemon Center Lady is an MVP in this, as it allows you to attack with Snorlax with no fear, as even if it stays asleep for 2 turns, then the following turn you can wake it up with the secondary effect of Pokemon Center Lady. Research and Pokeball is clearly consistency. Berry is to attack early with Snorlax, although personally I don't tend to use it too early. I only use Berry when my Snorlax is at 3, so that I could follow it up with like a Pokemon Center Lady and 4 energy to attack the following turn. Or ideally, like if the first Snorlax that I have is in danger of falling off, the backup one is usually not as high in energy, so that's where Berry actually comes in clutch. Leaf is one that was the concept was like to be able to take out a Snorlax early. Shaman and Leaf kind of add up to let you back up a Snorlax for just 1 energy. However, it really didn't come up in my practice, so although theoretically it makes sense, you could swap that out for a red maybe, to something that gets you more aggressive against all these EXs, and maybe you hit numbers that you couldn't hit otherwise. Like maybe sometimes they're just out of range and the red would come up. Honestly, I didn't like, none of these actually came up. Like you could even play Grunt for some reason if you wanted to like shoot down their energy, since they have no way of like ramp. Well, they do have ways of ramping, they don't know how to use it, and that'll push them back to a point where you basically auto win. The Sabrina has like multiple uses as well. It either like brings out something from the back just to close out the game, so you could hit it with just 1 Snorlax hit, or it also makes them slow down, because like I said, they have no way of ramping, or they fail to ramp. And sometimes if they're like charging up whatever they're in the active, like a Bibarel with like 3 energy, you bring out like anything from their back line. Like I said, nothing really retreats for less than 2, and they're just stuck there for a few turns, and you're able to build up or get the cards you need to win. And then the Rocky Helmet, it was like my answer outside of red to like kind of put the Pokemon in range. There's a lot of times where you hit the Snorlax, you hit Bibarel with Snorlax and put them down to 60. And let's say they have Cape, they go to 80 and they attack, they go back to 110. But if you have the Rocky Helmet, that 110 quickly goes back down to 90 and you're able to attack for game the following turn. So for the most part, despite this challenge being very tedious due to how much healing and the huge amount of HP your opponent has, it's pretty straightforward on how to beat it. It's just Snorlax basically running through the entire lineup. But since it does take some time to either build up Snorlax or deal with how much HP they have, that's why Farfetch'd and Cycles are there to like kind of apply pressure early, make them use their heals early so that it doesn't affect the Snorlax line. With that said, I hope you find this video helpful and find success in beating this challenge. And if it did, please consider liking and subscribing, as although this is the final challenge for Shining Revelry, sets should be coming out monthly. Not to mention that I also post meta reports, deck breakdowns, and even pack openings from time to time. So if you enjoy these guides as well as anything Pokemon Pocket, please consider liking and subscribing, and above all else, stay pro. Alright, we're going second, which is pretty ideal, especially if we open exactly something, either Cyclizar or Farfetch'd, so we could be aggressive early. And Jigglypuff. Honestly, they don't usually open Jigglypuff, but regardless, even when they open Dialga, they have like no way of using it. And hopefully, I always do like a couple examples, so hopefully you get to see what I mean. If not in this one, in the next one. Alright, there's Bidoof. You got a Shaman so that we could swap into our Snorlax at any moment. Hopefully we find it. That's fine. Realistically though, we're probably gonna use this and just focus on Farfetch'd since we're able to deal exactly 40 damage here and potentially have a 2-shot here. Granted, if they evolve, they will heal, but that's nor here nor there right now. And they have no way of attacking next turn, so Helmet could be... We'll hold Helmet. Another option was to bring out the Bidoof. But honestly, something that's more annoying than any of this Bidoof stuff, because Bidoof doesn't come into play until like 15 turns from now, is the Wigglytuff constantly healing. That's probably the most annoying aspect of this deck. Healing in general, really, because they go... Like, not even counting like the Bibarel effect, they have the Wigglytuff healing, they have Pokemon Center Lady, they have Potion, then they have Cape to like further extend their HP. Like, it gets rather annoying. You see, like, just granted, we definitely prefer them wasting it on Wigglytuff. With that said, we would love to see a Snorlax, as that is our finisher at the end of the day. Once we build up a Snorlax, I'm pretty confident in like beating this challenge no matter what. Currently, we're only doing 20 damage a turn because this Wigglytuff heals like crazy. Another thing to note, which I probably mentioned in the deck profile, is they have no leaf. So yeah, they'll heal a whole bunch. They have no way of bringing out this Wigglytuff even if Bibarel is ready. So it's going to buy us time is what I'm essentially trying to get at. So now we already started building a Snorlax. We have Berry to attack sooner if need be. They're not attacking anytime soon, so we'll just keep on swinging here. Yes, we're basically just swinging at a brick wall that's not like moving due to like how much healing they're using. But again, if they're using all their healing on this Wigglytuff, we are beyond like okay with that. Yeah, so you see no more Pokemon Center Ladies for them. They have one more potion left and a Cape. In a way, like that's their only options on healing up the Bibarel. If that's how it's pronounced. I apologize if it's not. Alright, we got Leaf. We got Research. Technically there we could have hit this Wigglytuff for 100, but we're not necessarily in a rush to bring out Bibarel. And alright. Essentially they should just stop at 100 HP this time around, but who's to say, right? Alright, a second berry. I think I want to research. I want to like guarantee that we have access to Pokemon Center Lady, which we've yet to see, so that we're able to guarantee the wake up. I think it's okay to deal the 40 here. It's on this following turn is that they're probably going to charge Wigglytuff for the first time, and then the turn after that is when they'll finally switch. So that's when we'll equip Rocky Helmet and stuff like that. Okay, honestly, if they start... Yeah, I'm like, they're never going to take this Wigglytuff off, huh? Which is, I guess, it's okay for us. Not ideal by any chance. If I knew that was going to happen, I'd probably hold the... Although, we're in a great spot to just attack and then Sabrina after the fact. Kind of get them stuck. If we attack, we could do Helmet. We get rid of their like the only healing they have like current access to. Then we could go. We followed up with Zaclazar, and then finally Snorlax. That's one way. The issue is, what's the right way of doing this? I think this might be a little too aggressive. What's the rest? Our deck is like a Pokeball, double Pokeball, Snorlax, the other Cyclozar maybe, yeah, and then the second Pokemon Center Lady. Okay, so what's the right play here? I think it's just getting rid of this Wigglytuff. Let's put Helmet though as chip damage on the Bibarel. This might be a little too aggressive, but honestly, it's a means to an end. Like, we have to beat them eventually, and I think we're in a spot where we could take advantage of whatever they decide to do. That's insanity. They just, I don't know. I can't even explain that one, but I guess it goes to show like how easy this challenge turns out to be most of the time. We knocked this out before it could even, actually no, we don't knock it out before it could run away, but it gets close. It's very, very close. Realistically, we could just get greedy, right? I think if we Sabrina here, we just win. Reason being, like, they either give us the one that's ready, and if they start backing out from this one, they have no setup whatsoever. And then had they given us Dialga, then for sure they lost. So I guess we could get Shaman ready to attack or something. Let's see here. Yeah, let's just do 100 here. And technically, once they swing, they do go up to 110, but they will lose 20 from the helmet, and that's what puts us back into the game. Yeah, they just decided like they're over it. And if you're worried about sleep, like that's the reason we have the Pokemon Center Lady. And just like that, we won, whether or not this wakes up. Yeah, pre-Shiny Revelry, we would have been in trouble. But now we have the one and only Pokemon Center Lady. JK, there's like 100. Like, they all look the same, and there's a bunch of Nurse Joys everywhere. Like, literally the definition of not one and only, but whatever. GG's. And yeah, that's pretty much how to beat this challenge. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Regardless, I always do an extra example, so let's just get right to it. Alright, and now an example. I think the first example is also going second. So, but now it's an example where we start Snorlax, which is like a good and a bad thing. The fact that we have Berry is really good. Okay, this is an example where we should be able to see what I was talking about earlier. Where you'll see like they have Dialga, they'll have something in the back line, and then they just completely ignore charging up Dialga. That's like essentially going to charge up both Pokemon, but they're just like, you know what? I like this Bidoof in the back. You'll see, you'll see. You heard it here first. This Sabrina might be huge if they don't evolve Bidoof in time. Cyclozar, not very necessary. And we'll just pass there. Unfortunately, we can't Sabrina and Berry at the same time, so... But hopefully they... Alright, yeah, you'll see. I promise you. What I say. They don't know how to use Dialga, and it honestly makes this challenge a breeze. But you still need a deck that could close it out, right? So that's why we're here. The fact that Dialga's not attacking soon, like, makes me not want to use Berry. I'd much rather hold Berry for like a second Snorlax or a second potential Snorlax. So that's what we'll do. I'd much rather use Berry next turn and then follow it up with a Pokemon Center Lady if necessary on the 4th turn. So let's stick to the game plan, right? We don't have to, like, just because we have the card, just throw it on the table. Okay, Rocky Helmet. No reason not to put it on Snorlax. Although nothing's going to attack us anytime soon. We go Berry here. And this is like the ideal play. It's to knock this out. Although with their 3-card hand, it's probably going to be like Pokemon Center Lady, Potion, or yeah. Those 3 cards are probably the exact cards they have in their hand. Waking up there is huge. That basically makes it, if they don't heal up this Dialga enough, we have the way to close out the game. Yeah, what I say. And then they're gonna Pokemon Center Lady. Just go all the way to close. Oh, they didn't have it. Okay. Regardless, they had enough, right? So I guess in that theory, there's a world where you want to put in red to like boost up Dialga, swings on Dialga and Bibarel, but realistically, it doesn't really fix ranges. and you're just taking away from like what the deck's trying to do anyways. Like your go-to supporters are definitely Pokemon Center Lady and Barry, and you want to be able to like use them at any moment. So Red and Giovanni kind of like overlap with that. But feel free to put it in if you feel like it's necessary. Back to what we're doing. Again, nothing really matters here. I would have loved to have a Snorlax built up at this point, but I guess the positive is that we still have the play where we knock out, where we're gonna win, especially if we wake up here. Yeah, okay. So yeah, the play is still the same. We're gonna go knock out this Dialga. Then the Bibarel is gonna do whatever it wants, and then we just Sabrina out the Jigglypuff that's in the back, and it's game. None of that really mattered. I don't know what they're doing that. Another Rocky Helmet. But yeah, we basically just soloed this with just one Snorlax. However, no, this is the turn where we want to wake up, right? Because we can't Sabrina and and Pokemon Center Lady in the same turn. Let's see. Yeah, no, this Snorlax is like putting the T-minus back. Regardless, we weren't gonna lose, if that makes sense, because we could just 1v1 this Bibarel between, or maybe not 1v1, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, yeah, this Dialga is gonna delay the inevitable as well. And deciding not to attack. Why would that be? I have no idea. Interesting. Well, we're definitely doing this. Why wouldn't they attack? Regardless, we're gonna Sabrina here, because if they put out Jigglypuff, we win, and they put Dialga, they can't run away in time. And they've used how much healing already? Both of their potions and one Pokemon Center. And never mind, they just gave us the Jigglypuff anyways. So yeah, I don't know what just happened there, but for the most part, this is a very easy challenge. The opponent does not understand the deck they're using, which is like baffling to me, because this is the same, like the people who developed this list are the same people that had like the Clodsire deck doing Darkrai Dawn plays. Like, how do you format or like are able to program that play into a bot and not program like whatever you do, just focus on charging up the Dialga, please? Like, honestly, that's like one thing that's wrong with this challenge that we could just exploit completely. So as long as you take it easy and you know what you're doing, it should be a breeze. I kind of forgot to record an outro at the end of that second game. But regardless, if you found this video helpful or at least entertaining, please consider liking and subscribing. As although this is like the final guide for Shining Rivalry, sets will be starting to be released, I think, monthly almost. If not, like, exactly monthly. So as those come out, I will be making expert solo battle guides. I also post a bunch of like meta reports, deck breakdowns, and even pack openings from time to time. But regardless, if you got to this point of the video, I just thank you for watching, and above all else, stay pro.